Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 17th chapter, text 35. This is a punishment and reward of Kali. Sutuvacha pariksita ivam adishtaha sa kalir jata vipatu tam udyasisin adhetam danda panim vivodyatam sutuvacha pariksitat vam adishta sakaler jata vipratu tamudayishun adhedam dandapanimi vodyatam sutuvacha pariksadat vam adishta sakaler jata vatu tamudadishim adhedam dandapanim ivodyatam sutuvacha pariksharitvam adishta sakaler jata vipatu tamudadishim adhedam dandapanim ivodyatam.
Sutuvacha Rikshitaivam Adishta
Rikshitaivam Adishta
Tam Jasin Ahedam
Tamashiyam
Dandapanim Vivojatam
Pandavam Pandivoditam
Sutuvacha Parikshitaivam Adishta Sutavacha Parikshitaivam Adishta
Parikshitatvam Adishta
Sakalir Jata Vipatu
Sakaler Jata Vipatu
Tam Udyatasim Edam
Tamodarishamadedam
Dandapanim Ivodyatam
Dandapanim Ivodyatam
Sutuvacha
Sutuvacha
Parikshita evam adishta
Pariksharitva Matishta
Sakale jata vipatu
Sakaler Jata Vipatu
Tamudata simadahim
Tamodarishamadedam
Dandapanim Ivodayam
Dandapanim Ivodyatam
Sutovacha
Sutuvacha
Parikshitaiva Marishta
Pariksharitva Matishta
Sakalirjata Vepatu
Sakaler Jata Vipatu
Tamuryas Tazim Ehadam
Tamudayasim Edaham
Dandapanimi Vodyatam
Dandapanim Ivodyatam. So everybody chanted, everybody want to chant online or?
Sutovacha
Sutuvacha
Parikshitaivam Adishta
Parikshitaivam Adishta
Kalirjata Vipatu
Sakaler Jata Vipatu
Tam Udyata Sim Ahidam
Tamudari Simadedam
Danda Panim Ivodyatam
Dandapanim Ivodyatam
Sutovacha
Sutuvacha
Parikshitaivam Adishta
Parikshitaivam Adishta
Sakalir Jatavepatuhu
Sakaler Jata Vipatu
Tam Udyatasim Ahedam
Tamudari Simadedam
Dandapanim Ivodyatam
Dandapanim Ivodyatam
Sudahuvacha
Sutuvacha
Parikshitaivam Adishta
Parikshitaivam Adishta
Sakalir Jata Vepatu
Sakaler Jata Vipatu
Tamudyata Sima Ahedam
Tamudari Simadedam
Nandapanim Ivodyatam.
Dandapanim Ivodyatam. So is that everybody chanting? Anyone want to chant online or do the word by word synonyms? Sutta Vacha. Sri Sutta Goswami said, Parikshita by Maharaj Pushkit. Evam, thus, Adhishtita, being ordered. Sa, he, Kali, the personality of Kali. Jata, there was. Vepatu, trembling. Tam, him. Udajata, raised. Asim, sword. Aha, said. Idam, thus. Dandapanim, Yamaraj, the personality of death. Eva, like. Udyatitam, almost ready. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sri Sutta Goswami said, the personality Kali, thus being ordered by Maharaj Pushkit, began to tremble in fear. Seeing the king before him like Yamaraj, ready to kill him, Kali spoke to the king as follows. Purport, the king was ready to kill the personality of Kali at once, as soon as he disobeyed his order. Otherwise, the king had no objection to allowing him to prolong his life. Personality Kali also, after attempting to get rid of the punishment in various ways, decided that he must surrender unto him, and thus he began to tremble in fear of his life. The king or the executive head must be so strong as to stand before the personality Kali like the personality of death, Yamaraj. The king's order must be obeyed. Otherwise, the culprit's life is at risk. That is the way to rule the personalities of Kali, who create disturbance in the normal life of the state citizens. Yeah, so these are some nice verses and purports. So Maharaj Pushkit, he's hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami, And Sutta Goswami, he's narrating what he heard in that assembly to Sutta Goswami. So this is what's happening here. So Sutta Goswami speaking, and he's describing this. And so the king, just as Prabhupada said, the king should be very, very strong leader, strong ruler. Prabhupada was saying, oh, okay, so you're engaging in sinful activities, illicit sex, kill him. He's engaging in meat eating, he's killing animals, kill him. Like that. He's engaging in intoxication and maintaining breweries, kill him. Like that. So, or gambling, kill him. So, Prabhupada was saying that basically, he's saying an offender, someone who's an offender should immediately be killed. So Kali, he's punishing a cow and a bull. But not only that, but not even ordinary cows and bulls. Just there's discussion of Dharma, form of the bull, and Bhumi, the earth, in the form of the cow. And Kali himself, he's the personification of the age of Kali Yuga. And he's dressed as a king. So this is like no ordinary incident. But before this sort of thing just didn't take place. This was a ghastly scene. You know, the lowly culprit should immediately be killed like that. So everything he was disturbing the peace. So we've been discussing in the Vedic culture, the king is so qualified that there's not even untimely death in his kingdom. There's no sinful activity or very little sinful activity. And he's seeing to the spiritual welfare of the citizens, and he's protecting the animals, especially the cows. So that's one thing that modern society doesn't understand or respect. They don't respect the Brahminical culture, and they don't really understand how important and just how valuable, you know, what the cow and bull has to offer. And they don't even care. You know, they don't know it, and they don't care. You know, they're just spending the happily last days of their lives fulfilling their wish bucket, still committing sinful activities. They just want to be happy before they die. They know they've got cancer or something. They're going to die within a relative period of time. So they're going to, just take it easy, right? But they don't know that everything's all sinful activities. And then Yamaraj, he's there. The Yamadutas and Yamaraj, he's there ready to take him. And going back down into the lower species of life again, wasted your human form of life again. That's stated in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where it's that first fruit of activities. Lord Kapila Dev, he's stating that the sinful living entities living in illusion, they don't know that these are sinful activities. And again, at the time of death, he again goes to hell as before. So that's the actual situation if you actually really sum it up. So we're fortunate enough to be able to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam as it's been being spoken by Sutta Goswami to Sanatana Goswami, to Sanaka Rishi, who had heard it from Sukadeva Goswami describing his activities to Maharaj Purskat. And so Maharaj Purskat is asking so many questions. So this is like the whole prelude, the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto. This is pretty much setting up the history of Srimad Bhagavatam. We heard about the astrological charts by the Brahmanas of Maharaj Purskat and Maharaj Purskat's activities. We heard about, Prabhupada was speaking about this in the lecture that I've been hearing the last few days, how Krishna saved Maharaj Purskat and the womb of his mother Uddara from the devastating Brahmastra weapon of Asvatam. So Prabhupada was saying like that, we don't know that type of science right now to counteract a nuclear weapon. So this is the way that the Brahmastra was released. So Asvatam didn't know how to release the, he didn't know how to counteract the Brahmastra. So Arjuna, Krishna advised him to release the Brahmastra and to counteract it. And in both ways, they counteracted both Brahmastra weapons. It was beginning to destroy the universe. The universe and the whole atmosphere was becoming scorched. So everyone saw there was immediate devastation, complete devastation arising. So like that. So that way they were saved, and Maharaj Prishka was saved by Krishna from this specific exact science of Brahmastra, where a nuclear weapon can actually go specifically to a predestinated place, like the womb of a mother, to kill a child. So this is actually what was happening. So he saw Krishna's very beautiful form, and it was saving him from the very glaring effulgence of Brahmastra. So that's what Maharaj, he was mentioning. He brought that up, is that Maharaj Prishkit was always looking for that very beautiful form we saw within the womb, was saving him from the Brahmastra. So he was Krishna conscious even before his birth. He was always such a great devotee. So these activities were magnanimous activities. Everyone was satisfied. King Yudhisthira is his uncle, right? His Abhimanyu was Maharaj Prishkit's father, who was the son of Arjun, who had Abhimanyu had died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So Prabhupada was calling Maharaj Prishkit a posthumous child, is that he never knew his father. His father died before he was born, like that. So there's great activities. Everyone was very satisfied hearing of his activities. So these things are coming to pass now. He's a great king, a great ruler. There's regulated rainfall during the day and night, early in the mornings, which is conducive to vegetation. And so then the moonlight germinates the seeds and gives the plants and agriculture nice, soothing moon rays, and the sunshine gives the sun and light needed for agriculture. And so the whole atmosphere was very pleasing, nice, pleasant breezes. It wasn't too hot or too cold. Everyone was satisfied, had all the necessities that they needed. Even then, I was listening to these verses. It's like, what's the use of the bellows? What's the of a living person, right? As a dead person, if he's not engaged in the service of the Supreme Person of God, and it explains it like so many ways. Like, are not the bellows breathing like that? Or the eyes are nothing but the eyes on the plumes of the peacock's feathers. Only just imitation. Or there's so many different ways all this was described. The crown on the king is completely useless. It's a useless decoration if he doesn't bow his head down to the pure devotees and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Or it was actually stated to be engaged in the service and the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's was support and maintainer, or the enjoyer of the gopis of Vrindavan, like that. So everything's just so much useless endeavor. Everything's just so many minuses and zeros. But if you had Krishna right in front of it, then all those zeros become millions. So Prabhupada was saying, like the automobile and the airplane and modern science, what we have now with the computers. Prabhupada was saying this, what is this computer? What is this? This electronic brain. So what is the use of this computer? You need a scientist to operate the computer, to push the buttons. So Prabhupada was saying that Krishna is the original scientist, that he's pushing the buttons. And so now everything is working in order. That, through his various agencies, everything is working so perfectly and so nicely that this couldn't arise just by chance, or just some explosion. We don't really know what this is all about, but somehow or other it's here, or they have some sort of other timeline placed on it, like in the Christian religion and Judaic religion. Bhagavad Gita predates Christianity by 3,000 years. And so then Judaism is like somewhere around in that same period of time. But, they're thinking now this is the apocalypse. The apocalypse happening. So the earth is going to die soon, and everyone will have to be saved by God and go to heaven, like that. But we see things, we were only 5,000 years into like, what is it, 400,000, 200 years of Kali Yuga. So we still got quite a ways to go still. And by then things become very much degraded. And there was a question, it was like, did Srila Vyasadeva discuss or describe the future? And I was thinking in terms of first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm going, no, I never read that. But then Maharaj, you mentioned it's in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th and 12th cantos, how there's the description of the age of Kali is described. And so there's a very degraded age. The specific government is just a complete rogue government. And the citizens are being raised as by cannibals. They raise their children for livestock, and the seed bearing trees, that produce fruit only produce seed and skin. And there'll be no more milk or sugar, nothing in the modes of goodness like that. And so it'll just be all demons. If there's any devotees at all, they live underground, they live in caves. And it's just not very many devotee activities. Because there's the, the district where Lord Kalki appears, and his father and his mother, there's a Brahmana family, and there's the district that's described. So Kalki comes and kills everyone at the speed of mind. So that's pretty rapid. It can engage so quickly at the speed of mind. So that's the Supreme Personality Godhead. He's faster than all others running. Like he's already there. Right? So the Supreme Personality Godhead explained in Ishopanishad and Brahma Samhita that all of the limbs can support the functions of all the other limbs. Like that. So Prabhupada is saying Krishna or the deity can eat by hearing our prayers, just by hearing our prayers or seeing the food. And then he says, and then Krishna is very merciful. He doesn't take it away. It's there. He leaves it there for you to enjoy. So you're not the loser. You're not just sacrificing everything to God, and God is not maintaining you. So that's actually the process. So yeah, this is setting up the whole scene of Srimad Bhagavatam right now. So they're describing the activities of Maharaj Prishkit. So what they mentioned this the other day in class. There's a question about that. Maharaj Prishkit is cursed by a Brahmana boy. And his father wasn't very much pleased by hearing this. His father was in meditation. Maharaj, want to speak?
Okay, thank you. This text is speaking about a strong government. The government has to be like a thunderbolt to the misdoers or the offenders. It can't be, shall we say, very lenient, because the only thing that the wrongdoers understand is when there's force used. They do not respond to good intelligence, to logic, to scripture, to bribes, to flattery. They only respond when there's a superior force, and that force is ready to be enacted on them. We have to understand the nature of the misdoer. So when Captain Mosey of the Chicago Police Department met with Srila Prabhupada. He asked, crime, why is there crime in our society? And Prabhupada outlined a whole program, how to stop crime. And one thing is, of course, as we mentioned, they had to establish what were the correct laws. If the government doesn't know what is to be allowed and what is not to be allowed in society, then it's a very dangerous situation. One may be found innocent according to the state laws, but there are laws above the state laws. There are international laws and there are universal laws given by God, and those will be enforced by the representatives of God, such as Yamaraj. Yamaraj is the chief in charge of dispensing punishment. And his role is very important. If there were no Yamaraj, if there was no hell, if there was no punishment, it would be very difficult to live in society. It would be like an animal society. One animal eats another. But by having regulated laws and enforcement, then crime will stop because they know that they'll be punished. If they think that it's not going to be taken very seriously by the government, if I do some crime, then they'll continue doing it. So we sometimes become afraid of having a strong government that may clamp down on wrongdoers. But that's just because we don't see the benefits. And we also don't see the dangers of living the way we're living because the government is not strong. Everyone is engaged in sexual activities. And we're included in that. So we will have to be punished severely for our breaking the universal laws. We don't know that. So we're happily going along thinking we're escaping the state and national laws. And there'll be no reaction. And there's no life after this life. So we can just enjoy getting away with doing whatever we have to do. These are things to consider. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Maharaj. Yeah, that's the knowledge is stolen by illusion, hita jnana. Those adverse sinful activities, that they don't even know what they're engaging in. They're just happily going along. And they've got everything all explained away. Like if there's some sort of a problem with it, they'll give them some medication, or they'll come under the care of a psychiatrist, try to fix it. No, you just enjoy. Don't worry about, whatever you're thinking, next life or hell or punishments. You're just paranoid like that. So that's, but yeah, a good strong government would, Prabhupada was saying that formally the king's ruling would be cut off their hand. So whenever anybody saw anyone by their sign, like the dress of a king, or if somebody had their hand that was amputated, you can tell that this is a thief by this sign, he lost his hand. So nowadays the government, they got some sort of system set up. The prisoners have rights, and a certain racial group, that the criminal element within that category. They want to complain that not enough whites go to jail. That they're what is it? Being favored. Whether or not enough whites are criminals or not. That's not really the issue. They think that the whites are criminals too, but they're just being favored. They're not going to jail. So, or what is this? If you get deported back to Mexico, you can sue the state of California or Texas. So what kind of law is that? Was deportation? If you're deported from their country, you're not going to go and sue them. So, other countries have very, very strict, what do you call it? When immigration laws, they're very, very strict immigration laws. In the United States, I guess they're kind of working. I saw in the paper again that Joe Biden, he's taking up Trump's, deportation policies against the Venezuelans. So they're going, well, if you're a legal citizen, you're a legal citizen. You used to have these raids, they have the people that had their sewing machine shops, they're making clothes, for industry in the fashion district. And so they come there and card everyone, people that didn't have green cards, and then the owners of the manufacturing facility, can be fined. But they're not even doing this anymore. I remember it was that I was on my way to school. I had all these women outside, and they put like sheets or blankets or towels around them, but they were naked, and they had all these police officers and stuff, and the whole street was blocked out. It was Van Nuys. It was like over above the tattoo shop. It was Victory and Van Nuys Boulevard. So there was a lot of this kind of stuff going on. What they were doing, they were busting a brothel. They used to have a Van Nuys Vice Squad. So they don't really have that too much anymore. I guess nowadays they have this gentleman's club. Prabhupada was saying that he saw in Paris 80-year-old men paying hundreds of dollars to get in and go to the club to associate with young women. And he's saying that's the same thing he sees every night. They're married men, they're old now, but they go and pay hundreds of dollars to try to enjoy and see the same thing again with young women. Like that. So he said it's the sex attraction, and it's always there. It's within society. So, yeah, a good government is a good idea. So no one would ever steal anything. If they saw something laying on the side of the road, on the street, they didn't touch it, because they knew that it belonged to someone. It was somebody else's property. And if they were caught with this, then they would be accused of stealing, and they have their hands cut off. So no one would steal. Very strict laws. So that's the criminal element. And it's Maharaj was, I believe it was alluding to comparing this also to the living entities who's criminal in the material world. Because the criminal element doesn't respond to anything. You can't beat it out of them. I mean, they're just going to do it again. They don't accept any good instruction. An envious, atheistic, big demonic demon person, they become angry if you try to give them good instructions, especially good instructions about God or religion, like that. So they don't accept anything else other than like complete brutal force like this. Okay, now your life is at risk, shaking and trembling. But then after they're done, after they get out of this, they're still going to do it again. And that's the thing about like crime, and if they're going to get away with it, you don't know who did the crime. You don't know who stole it, right? But it's gone, right? Like that. So everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else, accusing everybody else. And so sometimes it happens that even an innocent person gets tried and goes to prison or jail for a crime he didn't commit. So there was that, Mundaka Muni, right? He became, he cursed Yamaraj, and Yamaraj took the birth of Vidura. But he was some criminals hid within his hermitage, and he was arrested along with all the criminals. And then he was tried to be impaled. And just as he was going to be impaled, the king saw, oh, this is a great saintly person, stop this. So he asked Yamaraj, he said, why did this happen? And he mentioned, well, the laws of material nature are so strict that as a child you had pierced the abdomen of an ant. So this was your karmic reaction. So he was thinking that this was not really very fair, just as a child and playing, and as all children do. So all children should be very careful not to torture the little insects too, like the ants and piercing. So don't do this. I guess it's a general natural tendency. So he cursed Yamaraj. So so sometimes this happens even an innocent person, according to their karma, can be tried for a crime that they didn't commit. That sometimes happens, and sometimes it's found out that they're actually innocent, so then they'll be released. So, yeah, a question there? Yeah. Do you have a microphone?
So I've wondered this before. Why is it that Mandaka Muni was faced with the results of his previous sinful reaction? Like, didn't he chant Hare Krishna, and doesn't that eradicate all previous sins?
Yeah, it's mitigated. It's reduced. So yeah, actually, he probably should have actually been carried out in the punishment, except for the fact that he was a great saintly person. So his sinful activities, it was reduced, it's minimized. So that's the way we should think about that, is that, whatever happens to us, it should have been a lot worse. It's been minimized. We're engaged in devotional service and thinking about Krishna. So this is a really very powerful process. It's really pretty charming that, all of the austerities that the Mayavadi sannyasis and the study of Vedanta and so many different things. Oh yeah, it was saying that the Supreme Personality is not realized or attained by sitting in front of the fires during the summer and standing up to the neck in cold water during the winter, like that. So it's just simply thinking about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhu was saying unscrupulous commentators, they go directly to the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, but without understanding the previous 9 cantos, which sets up the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in its actual specific position, and it would actually be realized properly when properly understand it. So we have our practices, but they're very easy. It's not dry speculative knowledge. It's just simply chanting Krishna's names, taking Krishna Prasad, thinking about Krishna, like that, and then go back home, back to God. And Krishna, he guarantees this is his promise. It's like, this is the secret of devotional service. Only by bhakti or devotional services Krishna actually attained. He states that in Bhagavad Gita also. So that's the secret of success. Otherwise, like the Mayavadi sannyasis, they have no access to the understanding of Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. So Krishna says, fools deride me when I descend in human form, not knowing my transcendental nature as being supreme, transcendental. So they think that he's Brahman, but he's taken a material form. He's a person like us. Everyone's Brahman. He's a great yogi. He's the embodiment of Brahman. So many different things like that. So they don't really understand that, Krishna is the basis of Brahman and Paramatma. And it's just a nice, simple process. There was a process that's described how the tortoise meditates on its eggs that are laid on the shore, and they're buried in the sand, and and the tortoise goes back out into the ocean. So the tortoise hatches the eggs by meditation. So like that. So we think about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the same way, and we become spiritualized and go back to Krishna. Yeah. So, were there any other questions or comments? Or okay, so we can end class there. Srimad Bhagavatam class ki jai.